Hello, Jenny, and welcome. I'm so excited that you're here today.
Yay. Hello, Christy. It's so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to speak to you. I already told you that I send your podcast to all my clients and stuff because I think it's so inspirational and I think it's so necessary that because I speak to a lot of women who are so stuck in their careers, and I think your podcast and what you do really gives so much hope to people. So I'm not going to say too much because I want you to introduce yourself. But today, yeah, we are really going to talk about career flip stories that is going to give you hope. So, Jenny, yeah, maybe just tell a little bit about yourself to my audience.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for always sharing it. Those stories are such an honor to be able to create and talk to people and share, and knowing that they're giving hope to your clients and family and friends. Like, it's so cool. Like, it's really, really cool to know that that ripple effect is happening. So, I'm Jenny Dempsey. I am in San Diego, California. And I am not an expert career flipper by any means. I will put that out there into the world because I'm still trying to figure it out myself. And I think that maybe, at least from what I've heard of other people, makes me a little bold and courageous. But I still think I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm willing to talk about it. And I'm willing to talk to other people about it. So my whole career pivot started accidentally. I got laid off after 18 years working in the tech startup world and customer experience. Couldn't find a new job. The market it's just a wild time with so many other layoffs and amazingly talented people getting laid off at the same time. And so I just had to get resourceful, but I was also really pretty depressed and really at a low point. So I started, and we'll go into this more, I'm sure, but I started flipping furniture. I saw potential in those pieces of junk furniture that, people are throwing away. And I'm like, well, I kind of feel like that old junky table on the curb. No one wants me. But I saw potential and I just started fixing it up and selling it for some cash, and then felt a little wacky talking on LinkedIn about it and started talking to other people who have also made career pivots. And I found so much validation and just solidarity in the fact that real people can make changes, even if they're hard. Even if we're at this rock bottom, really tough point, we're not as stuck as we think. And so that's what we're here to talk about today.
Wow. Yeah, your story is really inspiring. And I'm sure that you've also listened to a lot more inspiring stories. So I don't know, maybe you can just share like one or two that you think is really cool or just really inspiring.
Absolutely. Okay. So I mean, the ones that stand out, they all are amazing in their own way, but I will be very honest. One of the episodes I talked to is a woman named Natalie Schumann, and I actually worked with her at the company that I got laid off from. However, and she was climbing the corporate ladder. She was very high on the marketing team, but she left about a month after I started working there. So I didn't really get to know her all that well, but we followed each other on Instagram and stuff. And what was so impactful about her choice is that she had worked in this industry for many, many years, was very high up on the corporate ladder. And then when she left the company a month in when I started, she left because she was like, I'm leaving corporate America. I am actually going to go run a dive shop in Honduras with my husband.
Wow.
I was like, are you kidding me? That is the coolest thing. And I thought it was cool then, but obviously my life hadn't taken the turn yet. But I was like, that's so cool. I can never do anything like that. And then when, life changes happen, now I'm interviewing her on this thing called the Career Flipper, where I'm telling, she's giving me the background of it. And I just, what I really love about her story is that she gave herself permission to choose a life that actually aligned with, what she and her husband wanted to do, even if it didn't like make sense on paper. And also I want to bring up, another woman, Kat Chang. So she was a music teacher. She taught in elementary schools and she loved her job. Like, she loved her students, but something didn't feel right. And she had this hobby of baking. And then she kind of was just like feeling burnt out at work, and she noticed like how her job was affecting her health. And, with a little bit of calculated risk, some money saved up and this and that, and support of her husband, she quit and she started her own home baking business. And what's amazing about her story is that it ended up landing her on a Netflix baking competition show.
No.
So not only did she take a huge pivot and a huge risk, she was like, you know what, this is so important to me and I love this so much. And then she just put herself out there and now she's on Netflix. She
Great.
she really wanted to make these changes based off of what was going to be best for her, going to bring her joy and really support herself mentally, physically, emotionally, and all the things. And I don't know, I could go on and on. There's so many amazing people who've done really just cool things.
I love it that they really got the balls and just did it, because I know so many people, they would dream to do something like this, but they won't because their fears are just too big. And I was also just curious, like, what are the biggest, most common fears that you hear of, that they almost didn't end up doing it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a lot of the cliche thing that we hear a lot is fear of failure, but I'll be honest, I don't necessarily hear that as much from people. What I hear more is afraid of not having money. Like
Mm.
there is so much that and obviously like we need money. Money's not a bad thing, but it's scary to think about not having the financial security, whether or not, we have a family or just keeping a roof over our head. That is really one of the biggest fears that holds people back, is not having money. Because starting something new, it's like, am I going to make money? I don't know. And then the other thing that I hear a lot is can I actually do this? I don't have XYZ certification. I don't have experience in this. I don't have, whatever it is. And so I think that there's this, whether it's called imposter syndrome or whether it's just literally we are comparing ourselves to other people, these two things, money and not thinking we have the skills or, certifications to do whatever it is, that people will see us as an experience, but that's really not the case either. And the majority of the guests that I've had on the show have proven that wrong over and over, that you don't have to start so big and risk everything and all this money. You can do little itty bitty things, keep the financial security, and slowly move in the direction, because that's more than what most people do. But you can also do things without having to be qualified. You can do things based on your own life experience, or we talk about a lot in the podcast is this repurposing of skills, whereas we may not think we have it, but you know what? We kind of do. We actually already do have it built in. And we just have to reframe what that means for us.
Yeah, like our transferable skills that we all
Yes,
have.
100% right there. Yep.
And what do you feel like were the biggest mindset shifts that needed to happen,
Hmm.
for them to finally, okay, I'm going to take that leap? Because there must have been like a moment. Yes, no, yes, no,
Yeah.
yes, no.
And one of the common things that I hear is it's the cost. What's the cost if I stay? That's the
Oh,
one that I hear the
the big
most. It's
one.
not, yeah, it's not what if I fail or what if what if this? It's like, well, what's the cost if I stay? What does my life look like if I remain exactly where I am right now? And I think that that's like this moment of like clarity where people are like, ooh, staying is actually costing me more than going out. And suddenly staying becomes the challenge. Cause like no one's gonna like come and tap you on the shoulder and say, okay, it's time to go. Like
Mm.
you have to make the choice, which, sometimes it's made for you, like if you get laid off, but you still have to make choices within that. And you don't have to wait for permission. You can make that choice, but the cost sometimes of staying exactly where you are is so much more than if you were just to dip your toes into the water and do something different.
Well, in my case, with my clients, a lot of them had a burnout, which was really, it just came on my path. It's quite shocking, really, how many women have burnouts and have experienced one. And that kind of made them realize, okay, I've hit rock bottom. Like, I feel terrible, also depression. And that was like, okay, now I really have to make a change, because I'm not a nice mom anymore. I'm not a nice wife. I'm not a nice friend. It's just causing a ripple effect on the rest of my life now.
And I think that's such an important shift in perspective too, that they know deep down that that's not who they want to be. And once you realize who you don't want to be, sometimes that helps you know, okay, well, this is who I do want to be. And especially for so many women too, which you probably hear about so much, the people pleasing.
Oh,
We
yeah.
are just kind of conditioned to be certain ways. And when we stop to realize how we don't want to be anymore, that can really make a difference.
Yeah, I think also with my clients, a lot of them are people pleasers and are trying to fit in and trying to fit in society and belong to their friends, make their parents proud. And they're doing everything for the outside world to make everybody else happy. And they put themselves second. And then at one day they realize, they wake up, they're like, wait a minute, I'm living someone else's dream. I'm climbing a ladder, but it's against the wrong wall, or it's the wrong ladder, however you want to put it. And they're
Right.
like, what is this actually? And then they start to get to know themselves on a deeper level and realize, this is not me. This is not my dream. This is not my life that I want to live. Any quick piece of advice, just out of the box, Blue, if somebody who's feeling stuck in their career and doesn't know what to do next, what's one thing you'd say to them?
Gosh. Well, I think
So much.
the one thing of all the things, you know, you don't got to do it all. And I think for us women, we feel like we do. But you don't have to take a big leap immediately. You don't have to go up and quit your job tomorrow. You know,
Mm,
I think there are things sometimes I have to reframe it even for myself of like, what is the smallest step I could literally take? And sometimes that might look like 2 minutes of doing something, which sounds insane. It's 2 minutes. What is that going to do? But that's 2 minutes more than what I'm doing already. And so by taking these small steps, what's the smallest piece of work I can do on a piece of furniture right now that's going to get this done in the process? And I think that if we can reframe it to be like, okay, I don't have to go all in right now. I could literally do this for, whatever time frame works for that individual, 2 minutes a day, an hour a week, 3 hours a month, like whatever that is. If we reframe it into these small, realistic steps of like within all the other things that we're juggling in our lives, it sometimes feels like we can wiggle out a little bit more. We're not as stuck as we think because we
mm,
can fit certain things in. But I will be honest that like when we feel so stuck in something and we start to bring like crowd in other things like 2 minutes a day here, whatever, that also means saying no to some other things. And so that can, cause this internal pivot of like, there's other types of change going on. There's other types of grief, even with these types of things that we're moving from and moving to. Like, who are we? It's kind of like rebuilding our entire identity. But we just gotta, I don't know what worked for me. Like, I just had to get curious and just try things and make a bunch of mistakes. Like, if I was interested in something, okay, I don't have time to take a whole course. I'm gonna watch a YouTube video. I don't have time, or I can't find a job. But you know what? There's a volunteer opportunity that's kind of aligned with what I want to do. Maybe I'll do that for a little bit and then put that on my resume. Or I'll DM someone on LinkedIn and be like, hey, your job seems really cool. How'd you get there? What do you do? What's your day like? And so just by getting curious and kind of seeing what's available, but fitting it in a way that's not going to just uproot everything immediately, because you don't have to just leap in. Some people can do that. I cannot. It takes me a while. I got to process things, and I get scared. I can get scared really easy, but I have to always reframe it into the smallest step that I can take.
yeah, that's what I did notice. On some people on your podcast, they were super brave, and they actually said because they went all in and they took such a big risk, and they were like, well, if I don't make this work, I think the two girls from the s'mores, they were like, we
Yes.
had to make it work because otherwise we couldn't pay the rent.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
then, but a lot of my clients, they're like, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
that's too scary
Yeah.
for me. So for some people, I think it really works as a motivator, like go all
Mm-hmm.
in and you're just going to have to make it work to pay the rent or to put food on the table. And for other people, you don't have to do it like that. You can take small steps. And I love the idea of networking and having coffee dates with people, either virtually or in person, and ask them indeed, how did you get there? Because that's the most perfect way to really find out if a job is also something for you.
Totally, totally. And you never know where that connection will lead you. It could open a
Yes.
door down the road. So,
And then for, the people pleasers, which I also speak to a lot, like how can they deal with, the fear of letting others down, and the fear of their status, losing the status when changing their career, because that also holds them back. How can they
yeah.
transition and deal with these emotions?
Yeah. I mean, I am what I like to call myself a semi-retired people pleaser. I'm trying, I'm trying to work on it. But, kind of going back to what you said, Christy, like I too spent years making choices based on what I thought would make others proud of me. Like how I showed up for my family, or how I showed up, sometimes for my friends or for work or whatever. And it just, it kind of just kept me stuck sometimes, and I didn't get to know myself. And it wasn't until I really hit that point of like, not having a job and trying to figure it out. But also it goes back a little further. Like there were years ago I had an anxiety attack at work in front of a team that I managed, and so it kind of woke me up. Like we have these things that wake us up, whether they're positive or negative experiences or whatever. I had to I had to ask myself, who am I doing all this for? And I think, I'm the one waking up. I'm the one getting myself to the gym. I'm the one getting, doing these things. Like, I'm the one filling out the applications. I'm the one painting the furniture. Like, who am I actually doing this for? And I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I never worry about what people think or that I do this perfectly. But I feel like along the way with my life experiences that I've had, I've learned that choosing a path that actually feels, I guess, maybe authentic is the word, or just feels like me, it's worth, if someone gives me a, occasional side eye, like, you're doing what? Or, there's an awkward conversation that they just, maybe it's not necessarily what they thought they'd see me be doing, or I don't know. Like, there was, I guess, and I can't remember their name. I can't remember who was on there, but someone said it was something like I had to stop performing a version of success that didn't belong to me. It was something along the
Wow.
lines. Like, and I think
Mm.
about that a lot. Like, what does success actually look like? Is it what we want, or is it what someone else wants? And you can still love and respect people and set good boundaries. And adjust the expectations. But I think it's ongoing, and I think sometimes we have to make decisions even when it feels uncomfortable and we think, "Oh my gosh, they might not like me."
Mm.
I'm still going to make that decision. And one of the things right now that personally, I don't know if this resonates with any of your clients and listeners, but like I took on it took, 2 years, and I wasn't even sure I wanted to go back, but I took on a full-time corporate job just, maybe about 4 months ago. And so I'm doing that along with the podcast, along with my furniture restoration business. And it's a lot to juggle. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, most days I'm just trying to like figure it out, in addition to everything else in life. But I carved out Sundays as my dedicated day to work on furniture, because now I don't have, 5 days a week to be chipping away at a project, and things take time to cure. And, there's lots of process and sanding and all this stuff. So every Sunday, I literally go in the garage workshop around, I don't know, 11 in the morning. I spend the morning with my boyfriend and our dog. And then I'm like, all right, I'll see you later. And I am in there until about 5 or 6 in the evening, getting as much stuff done as I can on this side project that's very near and dear to me, my values, and what I want to see grow one day. But when I say yes to that, it also means saying no to Sunday brunch with my girlfriends. It means saying no to hanging out and, maybe extra walks with our dog. It means, no birthday parties for our, other friends' kids. Like if things happen on Sunday, I say no to them. And I think at first, when I started to do that, I felt really like, oh my gosh, they're not going to like me anymore. They're going to think I don't like them. But I just kind of gotten used to it because I was like, my values, like, this is so important to me that I want to see this grow. And I believe in this so much that it is worth saying no to some of these things and then saying yes to this, saying yes to me. And I just had to be okay with being uncomfortable. And over time, I mean, it's not necessarily getting easier. There are sometimes it's more so than not, but I stay very true and firm to that. And right now, there's no wiggle room for that. Like I just said no to a group of friends. They wanted to go to a baseball game, a Sunday baseball game here in San Diego. And I love that. It'd be so fun. But I said no because it's on a Sunday. And I really am dedicated to what I do. I believe in it. And I think when we kind of lean into these things that we are dedicated to, that we believe in so much, and the change that we eventually want to make, because I don't necessarily want to be working a corporate job forever. Like it's not really ideal, but it's what's here right now and providing what it needs to. The investor in my dreams, I call it.
Mm-hmm.
So we just have to kind of make these decisions and know that this is what we believe in. And I'm finding that the more I do that, the more so that the people pleasing isn't necessarily as important. It just doesn't have value. And I can go on and make decisions that are right for me and don't hurt anybody else. It's just something I'm doing. So,
Amazing. And I think you'll thank yourself later, in 10 years' time, because then you'll forgotten about this, but then you've gotten so much further in what you're doing, and the people that are meant to be in your life, they'll still be there.
yes,
You'll
yes.
see them on a Saturday.
Exactly. They will show up and support you. That's such a big part. And I will add that. That is such a big part. The people that are in your corner that are cheering you on are like, cool, have fun. I'll see you another day. Like it's not a problem. Like no one has shared anything negative. It's all just my thoughts of what I thought they were going to think, because that kicks in for us people pleasers.
Mm. And I also like what you said about redefining your version of success, because it doesn't also always have to be money related. Like we see on social media, it's always like 10K, so many 10K months or six figures. But you can also be more like, okay, but what impact are you making, or how many people are you making happy in the world, or what change are you making? And that can also be very successful and very fulfilling as well. So it doesn't always have to be so money related.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. 100%. I love that you brought this up because there is so much of that on social media. And I love social media. I think it's a great community builder. And we see things like that. I see this a lot in furniture flipping, for example. There's some amazingly talented women and they'll post, I made $1,000 on this. And I'm like, that's cool, but that's a very unique market. That's a niche market. That's a niche dresser. That's maybe one niche buyer. Like, it's not always realistic. For the most part, it's not realistic. And sometimes I'll sell something for $100, and that is success to me. And so I think, yeah, just redefining what does it mean for you exactly where you are right now. I mean, the podcast, I don't make any money on that. I do that and I run it from my savings account. It's something that I do because I believe in so much and I know that it's helping people, and that is what keeps it going. And down the road, it'll turn into something exactly as it's supposed to. But right now, what keeps it going is literally just my belief and love and knowing that it's helping people and it's helping me.
Mm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Through helping others, you actually help yourself. And any big myth, like career, big myth about changing your career, is that you really feel like this is so not true, but everybody believes this. Is there one big myth you'd like to bust?
Ooh, I mean, I think I'm just going to go back to the fact that if you are, the biggest myth is like you have to have it all figured out before you begin, and that you have to be an expert before you go change to something else. You do not. You can start messy. You can test things out. You make a bunch of mistakes. You learn as you go. You ask questions. You don't have to go all in 100%. You can dip your
Mm.
toes in. Like it's perfectly fine and acceptable. And you can try things out. I get really frustrated when people are like, just up and leave your career, just go change. It's like, it's not like cool if you can. That's awesome. But I think for us in real life, you can just do things on a small scale and then grow it. But you got to start somewhere. If you don't take that first tiny step, you're not, I mean, what are you doing? Like, it just has to start with the tiny step.
So many people, they procrastinate and they actually never end up doing something. Also, just to give you an example, I studied to become a coach, and we were a group of more than 50. I think there's still like 6 people coaching. So I feel it's not still, I mean, that actually maybe about 10 people started, but I think 40 of them, they never started. So I
Yeah.
wonder, where did they go actually, and I think a lot of people, it's those fears and doubts and limiting beliefs, and they just see things on the road, obstacles, and therefore
Yeah.
they just don't start, which is such a pity. And it's better just to take action, even if it's a tiny step, and just keep momentum than
Yeah.
not to do anything at all. Because I
Right.
always say, like, live a life with no regrets. You don't want to look back on your life one day and think, what if, what if I did do it? What if I did try?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
how is this journey of yours, starting, you're hosting the podcast, changed how you see work and purpose, really?
Oof. So, I mean, the first thing that I'll be very honest about is before I got laid off, I thought work, like my corporate job, I thought that that's all I was good at because that's kind of how I was conditioned to think like you work, you do really good at your job, you climb the corporate ladder. Like I thought that was it. And any of these other creative side things that I really enjoyed, I would put second on the shelf because I just thought, well, work comes first. But once I got laid off and didn't have work anymore and realized I got to figure out who I am without this, I realized that I am not my work. I am more than that. There are values that I have, and that is how I have learned to kind of shift my perspective and redefine who I am. Like, I'm a creative person. I love community building and connection and having a purpose and finding a purpose and making a tiny, tiny impact and being authentic and showing up and being consistent. That's who I am. I am not this job title that you see on LinkedIn. I am, not necessarily like even furniture in the podcast. These are things that I am creating. They are not necessarily what is defining who I am, but they're a
Mm.
product of who I am, if that makes sense. And I think that I had to learn that. And the only way that I was able to learn that was by getting laid off and not having the job. And so I think when I think about purpose and what that means, I know that I'm a 2 on the Enneagram. I am a helper. And so I am the type of person who wants to do something that's going to be impactful. It doesn't need to change the world. That'd be cool, but it doesn't need to. It can change smaller on a smaller scale. And so when I look at what I'm doing, I look at how it aligns with my values and I redefine what that means. So furniture, I want to keep good pieces of furniture that hold stories and memories out of the landfill so they can continue to have a second chance. I want people who think that they can't make a change or change, their career path to be something that doesn't kill their soul every day, to know that they too have second, third, fourth, fifth chances. And I want to know that because I believe it's possible because I am doing it for myself because I firmly believe that it's there, that it's possible. It takes a lot of time. And so purpose is really important to me, but it's on such a different level than what it was before. Like, I'm not just a LinkedIn post about what I learned from the customer service experience. There's a lot more. And I know maybe that doesn't resonate with everybody, but it's what I've learned. So
No, definitely with my audience, 100%. And I feel like, maybe at the time when you got fired, it probably felt like the worst thing that could have
mhm.
happened to you, because I also got fired. I know
Yeah,
when
yeah,
and then
yeah.
in hindsight, it's like, it's actually the best thing that happened, because if that didn't happen, then this didn't happen, and this, and then I wouldn't be sitting here, you wouldn't be sitting there, we'd be somewhere completely
Mhm.
different. We would be we're never talking to each other, that's for sure.
Exactly. I think that is such a great experience that you've had too, and how looking back on it and seeing that it was the absolute best thing. But in that moment, it doesn't feel like that. It feels so terrible. And that's part of the journey, knowing that there was something that we cared about and that was such a big part of our lives. And it feels terrible to lose that, to no longer be wanted, to be cast aside, thinking that everything we were doing was making an impact at a company. And then no, bye. Like, it's business. It's like, wait, what? Like, and so to be able to feel and hold that space for that, I mean, I believe that it's grief. Like 6 months before I got laid off, my dad died. And then I get laid off and I was like, wait, what? I thought that I had been dealing with grief, but no, like grief is just a normal response to change. We're losing things. And so to be able to look back and see, wow, was the best thing to happen because it led me in this direction. And if that doesn't give someone hope, like we are two people who can say that these things were the best, but they are not easy. And there are many, many up and down days, and that's perfectly normal and okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Right. Right. Gosh, well, yes. I mean, I guess the last piece of advice that I have, and just really what I want to hit home with everything, is that you're not alone in this. Making a change in general is hard. And I just want to put it out there that you're not alone. Christy, you're creating a resource for people to feel supported. You're coaching clients on a regular basis to help them through these things. And that's such a gift. And the fact that you are here through your own ups and downs and turmoils and that you've experienced, it's just an important reminder that you're not alone and you can reach out even though it feels so awkward and weird and like, is this normal? Like, just do it. Like, you can. And you can start doing something that maybe people think is a little unconventional. I mean, I literally pull furniture off the curb or by the side of the dumpster. I take it home with me. I am that weird neighbor. And if I can do that and like create this new type of career path, you can do anything. And there's proof because we're here talking to each other and we live on different continents. So I mean, I think it's amazing. But if anyone listening has had their own career flip and wants to talk about it on the Career Flipper podcast, oh my gosh, I would love that. Visit thecareerflipper.com. There's just a form on there to submit your story, and it goes right to me. And we can definitely chat. I'd love to have you on. Otherwise, if you're interested in furniture flips, I'm on Instagram and TikTok, San Diego Furniture Flipper. But you can also follow the Career Flipper Pod on Instagram or listen to the Career Flipper podcast on any single podcast platform: Apple, Spotify, YouTube, all the things. Just search the Career Flipper. You'll find this, and there's over 50 episodes. By the end of the year, there will be close to 100, and I am so excited to continue to tell and share these stories to encourage people that real people can do it. You can do it. You can absolutely do it. Yay. Oh, thank you. Thank you.